Hi guys. I want to talk about, I guess, a bit about the healing journey and how messy and flawed and ugly and gross and depressing it is, because I feel like a lot of people come on and give their advice once they've felt like they've figured it out. And I don't think it's purposely done. Well, I think sometimes people wait until they're, I don't even want to say healed, because I don't think you ever get completely, nothing's ever perfect. And I think it's easy for people to compare themselves to the person on the screen when the person on the screen is sharing from a place of like, it's almost like this purity culture, this like, like I figured it out, so like life is just supposed to be smooth, and this like air of like there's a lack of relatability in a lot of the conversations, in a lot of the coaching communities, relationship communities. It feels very much like a purity culture, but the truth is, like, the healing journey's messy. It's ugly. It's not like all roses and sunshine. I mean, there's lots of beauty in it, but it takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes being gentle and slow with yourself for your gifts, for the true parts of you to feel comfortable and safe. That takes time for that to come online. So please don't compare yourself to somebody on here who's saying it's this like straight and narrow, leave low vibrations behind, Like, if you feel like the person giving advice is a bit too perfect, then I'm not really sure how helpful they're going to be. To dispel shame, you have to be relatable. And it's okay to be angry. It's necessary to be angry. And for the longest time, I'd hear this advice about how the last thing to go before you really can heal and walk into your own skin is the need to be loved and appreciated, or accepted. I think it's to be accepted by other people. And I really do think there's some truth to that. One of the other pieces of advice is that like a narcissist is here to show you your true power. And I also think there's some advice to that. With recent events in my life, it's taken me a long time to really grasp, to really accept that those who brought me into this world will never see me. Will never see me. Will never see me in this lifetime. Not for who I truly am. And that path it's hard. It's not easy, The people who were supposed to give you unconditional love and living based on these conditions of their stories, it's an ugly truth. And this is not every child's upbringing, but I think this is the gift of being raised by two neglectful parents, which is also my biggest wound, is being aware of this and seeing it in the world and seeing people distract themselves with their cell phones, which I do as well. So I'm not shaming anybody by saying this, but when I post about the pedophiles and when I post about neglectful parents and parents who aren't taking responsibility for their feelings and they're addicted to their cell phones, and then creating that for the next generation, creating children who are addicted and look outside of themselves. I'm speaking from my own experience, so I'm both protecting that version of myself, but I'm also speaking up because I know what that does to a person. I know what that does to children, and I want to see less adult children like myself have to run in circles to figure out how to heal. And I realize that could be triggering for a lot of people. A lot of people don't want to look at that. A lot of people do not want to look at their triggers, do not want to look at their addictions, do not want to look at the ways that they're neglecting their children. And I get to be the bad guy for talking about it, which is okay. And you know, when I post this stuff, if I get deleted by you or you're hating on me for it, I will still be here with open arms in the future. And I'll still be talking about this because it's important. Having two neglectful parents in my childhood has allowed me to see the world for what it is, has allowed me to see the neglect that I don't know if it's the average child, but I know half of the population is insecurely attached. And so when I talk about these things, it's not because I'm being nitpicky, it's because I see what it does to a person. I've seen what it does to me. I've seen what it does, you know, in different systems, in the schooling system. And so if anything that I say triggers you or it feels judgy, like, sit with that. You know, I'm just as addicted to this freaking cell phone. You know, I'm on and off coffee. I have my own addiction. So when I talk about these things, I'm not judging. I do think it's our responsibility, if we're going to bring kids into the world, to look at these addictions, to look at these ways we distract ourselves, because that's going to be their upbringing and that's going to be their future. What you're doing as a parent, you're choosing what your child's future is going to be. You know, one thing I'm working on is not being snappy. You know, like when I see somebody who very much expresses their anxiety, you know, I get triggered personally when Tyler openly expresses how anxious he gets. And it's not him being, like, unconsciously, this isn't me walking around thinking, oh, don't get anxious, I don't want to hear. It's unconsciously, I'm a little bit jealous that he can so openly talk about his anxiety, about things in ways that I couldn't do as a kid. I couldn't do that growing up because I was too sensitive. I was the problem. You know, I had to hold the emotional temperatures in the room. And I don't do that anymore. For the most part, I have let that pattern go of holding the emotional temperature in the room, but it doesn't mean that I don't see it and that I'm not aware that neglect is happening in my surroundings, because it's everywhere you look. It's happening, you know, parents addicted to their cell phones. And then there's this app, I forget what it's called, but 13-year-olds can set up, like, basically content for OnlyFans. 13-year-olds can set up content that's similar to OnlyFans, and it's adults, men. Women don't go for this shit. I mean, there's some, but we all know the average pedophile is probably a man. So yeah, there's 13-year-old kids who can set up OnlyFans content on our cell phones. That's a representation of our neglect to the children, to ourselves, to women, to men. That's our own reflection. You know, that's our own reflection to neglecting the very basic needs that our children need, which is presence. Healthy and attuned parents. Healthy and attuned parents prevent childhood emotional neglect. They prevent alcoholism and addiction. They prevent, I'll go as far as to say it, they prevent sexual abuse from happening. Because when a child is secure in themselves, and women and girls are taught how to respect themselves and how to say fuck you, how to have a healthy boundaries, their instincts are intact. They're not wounded from a primary caregiver. And a boy and young boys and men are taught to respect women and have reverence for women and themselves, like it goes both ways, these problems will be no more. And that's not victim blaming. That's saying, like, we know predators, psychopaths, they go after women who do not love themselves. They go after women who believe they're small. They go after confident women too, but they go after women who have an instinct injury as well. You know, when you, like, I've seen the pattern in my own life. When I was injured, when I was small, I was targeted. When I start to love myself, less of that shit comes into my life because I'm walking like, fuck you. Like, Tyler and I were having this conversation the other day, and this isn't to say I don't get triggered by the conversation, because absolutely predators are the problem, and we're like, you know, but like, we're not going to stop predators, full stop. We have to arm women with respect and self-confidence and a healthy aggression. But that takes healthy and attuned parents. That takes parents who are there, who are present, who are loving up on their kids, who are showing them right from wrong, who are allowing them to ask questions, all the fucking questions. And you know, before making these videos, I'm very well aware of the like collective unconscious, the like, oh, but you don't have kids, Katrina. How do you know? Because I pay attention. Because I give a shit about innocence. I give a shit about kids. I've seen parents yell at their kids, throw their kids down. You know, growing up, we were never pushed around, but growing up, I'd been to friends' houses where the dads pushed them down the stairs, where dads would push boys down the stairs. I've seen grown men push kids down the stairs. I've seen grown men yell at their kids in front of me, and that's in front of their kids' friends. Imagine without their friends around. You know, I'm not going to let my kids sleep at anybody's house until they're a certain age and a maturity level, because that's protection. That's protecting your children. That's a parent's responsibility. And then you have half these parents letting their kids on devices unsupervised, or just and like, I realize some of this comes across as judgy. There's discernment though. It's from a discernment place. I understand how people get lost. You know, I had a miscarriage in 2015. Would I have been this strong in my opinions? No, I would have faltered, and I'm really grateful for that miscarriage, because I would have fucked my child up in many ways, and I will fuck my kids up. You know, like every parent, I think, no matter what you do, you're gonna fuck up a little bit. But trying to fuck up less and less over generations, I think, should be the aim. It also takes talking about that healing journey. It's ugly. It's, you know, crying in the middle of the night, having night sweats, realizing, like that video I shared the other day with the ache inside. We are on our own. We are here to save ourselves. And like talking about the Puritan, you know, I've found the way mentality. I was going to say something about this. It's shaky, it's ugly, it's messy, it's not perfect. Oh, and about losing the desire to be accepted. I think that gets easier when we have trusted, close friends in our lives. Like, to be fair, I don't really give a shit what my family thinks of me anymore, because they've proven to me that they don't really care what I have to say or think. So, but trusted friends, like, I care what Tyler thinks. I care what two of my best friends think of me. One of my dog walking clients who I still come into contact, like people who really have been there and are solid for me and reciprocal in nature and encouraging the real me to come forth. I care what those people think, because those people have had my back. You know, especially Tyler. Like, the people who've seen you at your ugliest, who love and respect you, even when you maybe feel like you don't deserve it, and maybe sometimes you've